Good afternoon, dear students. Welcome to Paddington Writing course. My name is Alan, and today we're going to talk about citation, quotation, and the references. In the first place, we are going to talk about the definition of three things that we are going to talk about today. The first one is citation. What is citation? A citation is using a particular idea that you got from another author. So when you want to cite somebody, you get idea, right, from other author. Number two is quotation. Quotation is using the exact words for another author. Sometimes there is a misunderstanding between citation and quotation. There is a misuse. When you cite somebody in your own academic paper or your term project, if you get the idea from other author, it's called citation. And if you use exactly same words or sentences from another author, this is called quotation. Reference is, of course, providing the source of information used for your research papers, maybe your term projects. So today we are going to talk about these three important aspects of academic publication and your term project, right? And it's going to be very useful for your term project. Now I got this academic study which I wrote in 2018. This is an investigation on second language learners' production of conventional expressions in L2 pragmatics. And today, the topic today, we're going to talk about the citation, quotation, and the reference list. We just look at this article. So before you go on doing research, you are probably going to find articles like this. So, right, this is investigation, right? This is a research, and there is a received, and there is accepted, and a published time, and there is a volume and the issue. And this is very important information. Of course, writer's first name and his second name, and of course, the name of the journal. These information are extremely important for citation, quotation, and providing references. Let's go. First of all, citation. What is citation? You get the idea. If you want to cite somebody in your research or academic paper, you get this idea, or you summarize, maybe you paraphrase, right? Some sentences or some paragraph or some idea from another author, you are going to cite. So how should we cite? The underlined section in this paragraph, in the first sentence, for example, from all mentioned above, it can be concluded that developing students' linguistic knowledge is beneficial for second language learners. So I got the sentence, and this sentence is relevant to my research or my college or term project. So I want to cite this sentence in my own words. So I cannot directly put it here. If I put directly exactly same words or sentences, you have to use a quotation. However, I want to paraphrase, right? Sometimes I have to summarize several paragraphs, and I write what I understand from the sentence, and this is called citation. As you can see there on the right side, second language learners, for example, in the citation section, second language learners could benefit greatly as their linguistic knowledge develops. From the sentence, I understand this. So after this, so this is my sentence, this is my paraphrasing, and this is my own idea after I read the sentence original text. And as I told, citations are using a particular idea that you got from another author. So I don't write it by myself. I don't have this idea actually. I have the idea after I read this paragraph or couple of sentences. Then I have to provide the source. How should I do it? When you go back to the research article in the first page, I can see there's a name, first name, and a second name, first name and the surname of the author. So I have to write the surname of the author first, as you can see there. So I wrote it, I put a comma, and I have to write publication date. So there are three dates: received date, accepted date, and a published date. So received date is different, and accepted date is also different, but published date is also different. So which one I should write? Of course, I have to write the published date in my citation. So I write the author's surname and publication year. This is called citation. It could be one sentence you read and you just paraphrase one sentence. Sometimes you have to read whole paragraph and you are going to produce a bullet point, first, second, third, and also you summarize it, and you also have to provide the source, right? You have to also cite this person. What happens if I don't cite my resources? Of course, it is called plagiarism, and it is a crime at the moment, so it is not a good idea. So all the time when you write a sentence, if you use this idea, if you get this idea from another author, you have to cite it specifically. So this is citation. Next one. When do you need to cite? That's a very important question. So whenever you use quotes, right? Sometimes, for example, I read the sentence here and I understand and I got an idea, so this is my idea. Sometimes you cannot even paraphrase it. If you paraphrase it, the meaning is going to be changed and the meaning will be misunderstood by readers. So in this case, you directly write the exact same sentence or exact same words which belong to other authors. So I have to cite whenever I use quotes. And when I paraphrase or summarize, also I have to cite the source. And whenever you use an idea that someone else has already expressed, right? For example, here and me, right? This person said it is very, beneficial for learners to have linguistic knowledge in order to improve their, language abilities, right? This is my idea. This is the writer's idea. So I cannot just say this is my idea. I read it and I put this idea. So it is actually expressed, right? It was actually expressed by someone else, right? So we have to also cite this researcher's work. Next one, whenever you make specific references to the work of authors. So if you want to write the specific references, for example, let's look at it here. Also, I want to show you here, Gerbus 2017. For example, this sentence is paraphrased. Right? It suggests that teachers play a more important role in developing paralinguistic skills, so teachers are expected to, needless to say, motivate or design speaking lessons or not to impair learners' confidence by paying attention to the language mistakes learners make during the process of language learning and teaching. Actually, as a writer, as a researcher, I got the idea from this author. So I have to cite it. So I write the surname of the writer and again publication date. It is not received date, or it is not accepted date, or it is not other dates. It's just published date. Last one, whenever someone else's work has been critical in developing your own idea, right? So you read an article and their idea motivates you, and it's really important and critical when you develop your idea to do further research. In this case, you have to also cite the original source in your research article or in your term project. Next one is quotation. Quotation, and we know what quotation mark is. As you can see on the right side, you can see here, for example, quotation marks. So quotation, using quotation marks and exactly use the original source. Right? We normally, do not change author's own sentences, and we cannot paraphrase here if you want to really quote something. So when are you going to quote? So you believe you cannot produce any better sentence, right, than the writer of the research paper, or you believe this is the best description, or some terms, for example, definitions of some terms you cannot modify or you cannot paraphrase. That is a best example, or that's a best description or definition of some idea or some terms. Then you have to use quotation. In academic publication, the quotation is 21 words. So if it is more than 21 words, you have to quote someone else's work in your research or term paper. So there is a very important issue here. What is it? Between citation and quotation, there is one major difference. In a citation, you don't need to specify the page number. Right. But in quotation, you are supposed to write the page number if you want to cite directly, right, to someone. For example, let's look at the underlined sections of our, right, another paragraph from the same source. This conclusion resulted from the findings that, right, even students are upper or advanced language speakers, but learners are limited in expressing themselves in various pragmatic contexts. So this is the writer's original idea and the findings and the conclusion. So I cannot produce a better sentence. I want to use the exact same sentence in my quotation. So I have to write, of course, surname of an author. As you can see, it's not first name. Publication date and a page number. Page number is extremely important because when other researchers or other students read this paper and they want to look at the original source, they have to look which page, right, which page, they have to know which page they have to look at. So this person, right, 2018, page number 48, argued that I write the exact same sentences in my quotation. Even students are upper advanced language speakers, but learners are limited in expressing themselves in various pragmatic contexts. So this is a quotation. So when are we going to quote? Alright. You believe, for example, the forefathers of this theory or developers of the theory, and you believe the language is elegant, powerful, and, right, memorable. So if you paraphrase it, or if you paraphrase the original source, maybe the meaning will be changed and you cause misunderstanding. So in this case, you have to quote exactly same sentence. Again, 21 words, right? If you want to write 21 words from another author, this is a limit. The original work is more concise than your summary. So it happens when you start writing your publication and writing for your publication or your research paper. Sometimes we use a lot of redundant sentences or redundant paragraph. But in this case, when you look at this definition or this summary or somebody's work and you believe their summary is more concise than your own summary or own paraphrasing, then you have to quote. The passage is worthy of further analysis. So what does it mean? When you write academic paper, in the first part, introduction, then literature review, then methodology, then findings, and a conclusion. So you want to use this definition or this passage in your discussion or in your literature review, and maybe in a limitation of this study or other sections. In this way, you are going to, right, quote somebody else's work. In introduction, of course, you have to provide the definition of the term. So in that way also, you believe this definition, the language is elegant, powerful, and memorable, you have to use quotation. You wish to argue with someone else's position in considerable detail. What does it mean? When you finish, right, your research article, at the end of your research article, there is a discussion and a conclusion section. In the discussion section, so you are going to argue. So this is my research result, and this is someone else's research result. Or, for example, you ask a definition of, for example, intercultural communicative competence in your own essay, and the students give, your participants give you different answers, and then originally, right, the developer of this theory or the forefathers of the theory, they give different definition. So in this case, you are going to argue, right? This is the original definition. This is my research result. So you have to, right, discuss. So in this way, you need these sources that you quoted in your literature review or, right, other sections in discussion section. All right. So this is all about the quotation, right? The differences between citation and a quotation is, in a citation, you write writer's surname and publication date. But in quotation, you are going to write year and page number. If you really want to, right, this is a one type of quotation. Maybe sometimes you want to put it at the end. In this case, again, it's quite similar in a reference reference section. Like you have to write writer's surname, publication date, and the page number. So if you want to quote, you exactly specify which page, right? Which page you got this information. So let's go ahead with the next one. It is reference. So what is reference? I want to draw your attention in this section. For example, I got this APA format citation guide from this website, right? This website, and I write retreat June 3rd, 2020. So I got the resource, right, yesterday, 2020, from this website, maybe, right? So you have to provide the sources, even you use from online sources. So this is again, right, not quotation, right, but it is also not citation, but this is the references that I give, particular form that I got from the internet. So there is a complete guide, actually. There are different kinds of showing references sections. So let's talk about references. Let's just try to recall the idea. Reference, you provide information of, right? Provide information about the source that you use, like this. So there are different kind of giving references format. For example, MLA8 or Harvard referencing or APA referencing, right? Of course, the referencing format, right, changes from one university or another, sometimes from different academic journals. So you have to stick to the requirements of this specific journal or specific university. But normally, mostly accepted format is APA. This is from American Psychological Association, and this is widely accepted giving references format. So how should we do it? So, core components of an APA references. First of all, you have to use author's surname, comma and first name, but initials, right? Then date published in parentheses and the title of your source, right? Title of your source. So when you look back to the text here, right? The title of the source is An Investigation on Second Language Learners' Production of Conventional Expressions in L2 Pragmatics. This is a title, right? Surname is here, and you have to write A, for example, right? This person and A. Publication date is 2018. Then you go ahead, location of publisher, right? Location of publisher. So where is it, right? They're in London or they're in Istanbul or other cities. Publisher, right? This is also extremely important. When you go back to the original text, publisher is Advances in Language and Literacy Studies. This is a publisher, right? This is a publisher. So after this, you have to, if you have PDF or some kind of format, right? If it's online source, you have to also put this online source at the end of your reference, right? This is one type of citation guide and giving references guide. Of course, as I told you, there are Harvard referencing, MLA8 referencing. Also, there's APA 6, APA 7, for example. There are different kind of formats. So how do we do it? You have to just stick to the regulation or requirement of universities or academic journals, right? Referencing requirement. All right. So this is a referencing list here. I just try to put all my academic papers here, as you can see. So when you look at the first one, for example, that article that we talk about, you can see the exact same thing that you can see here. For example, let's go to one of them and try to understand. For example, this is a surname of an author. This is the initials of the first name of the author, then dot, right? Publication date, quality issues in ICT-based higher education. This is the title of the academic paper, and the Journal of Foreign Language Education and Technology. This is a publisher, right? And this is a volume 3, issue number 1, and page number, right? 317 and 328. So we give references like this. However, there is one mistake if you have a look at that here. Look, for example, here we have a mistake. For example, the first one is hanging, but this is not hanging. So this kind of mistake you are going to avoid, right, in your future studies, right? If you hang everything here, like according to the journal list, you have to do the same. Like, you cannot change the format like this. So this is a mistake that you are going to avoid. So what happened? You copy somebody's idea and you don't offer or provide any source of this information. What will happen? For example, what do you mean all my facts are wrong? I copied everything straight off the internet, which means actually if you ask your teacher, for example, it happens sometimes, not all the time. Some papers are exactly copied from the internet or from other sources, but references is not provided. So you ask the teacher, what do you mean all my facts are wrong? That paraphrasing of the same sentence is actually I copied everything straight off the internet. So this is really serious matter. Especially during this time, for example, coronavirus, this kind of pandemic situation, we have to be very careful. And you may use other people's idea, maybe their sentences, but use quotation, citation, and you have to provide the references, right? Right. What will happen if you do it? You will get punishment, right? I will not copy again. I will not copy again. This is not like this, guys. It is very serious, right? If you cite somebody's work, right, if you copy somebody's idea or exact same sentence in your academic publication, college essays, for example, even in college essays or in like advantage, disadvantages essay, online exams, for example, if you copy somebody's idea, all right, and you don't provide the references, and it's a crime. It is a very serious crime at the moment, and it's called academic fraud. So, right, do not take this risk, and you have an option, right? You may use it, but provide the references. Otherwise, people, right, academicians, maybe other person, whoever wrote the article, will take you to the court. And it is extremely serious matter in academia. So, thank you for your listening today, and if you have any questions, right, you can send me an email to alan.w@uskudar.edu.tr, and this is the end of our presentation for this term, and I wish productive summer holiday for everybody, and I wish the best success in your final exam. I'm going to see you tomorrow for our online lessons. Bye-bye.